Welcome to The Point of View. This is your favorite current affairs show here on Channel 1 Television. On The Point of View, we pick the right topics, get the right guests, and ask them relevant questions on issues that matter to you. Tonight, we're zeroing in on Ghana's controversial Anti-LGBTQ bill. It's known as the Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Bill. Very controversial, passed by our parliament last Friday, yet to receive presidential assent. We're going to do a show in a very interesting way. We'll bring you the build up to the passage of the bill, and then we'll walk you through the key components of the bill and why even the two leading political parties are arguing over the components. So we'll compare what it was in 2024 to what it actually is now and why it's generated so much controversy. Stay with us.
I was this close to moving everything to the account number they gave me.
I almost didn't notice. I was just about to enter my PIN.
I clicked the link, entered my account number, entered my password.
They said my account was under attack, that I needed to act fast.
I checked again.
Before I could think, they sent me an OTP.
But I paused.
I double checked. Hey!
Fraudsters rely on fear, on speed, on pressure. Shine your eye. Stay alert before you act. Spot the fraud. Stop the fraud. This message is brought to you by GAB.
If you spot the fraud, you go fit to stop the fraud.
Launching BSc Development Economics at the Ghana Christian University College. Study a job-ready university program, BSc Development Economics at the Ghana Christian University College. Job is ready for graduates who possess degrees and certificates in BSc Development Economics, professional certificate in Theoeconomy, certificate in Theoeconomy with business. Enroll at the Department of Theology and Economics at the Ghana Christian University College, Amrahia, Adenta Dodua Road, Accra. Full bursary is available for BSc Development Economics graduates to study master's program at a state university in South Africa. Enroll now. Take advantage of this opportunity to join elite professionals in economics. Call 0557 351 090 or 0575 633 307 or 030 296 0542. WhatsApp us on 0557 351 090 or you can get in touch online on www.theoeconomy.edu.gh. Powered by the Center for Theology and Economics, CTEC.
Do you want a healthy smile?
Good morning, Raquel. Fresh brewed coffee for you.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Maya.
Yeah, you're welcome.
But coffee, tea, red wine, those things cause so much stain on our teeth. But I like to tell my patients that cosmetic whitening is a great, safe, effective way to brighten your teeth, like 4 to 6 shades lighter. So it's important to come in to get an assessment on your teeth to make sure you're a good candidate for whitening, because we want to make sure you have a good foundation.
Yes, I definitely agree. Like you said, and it could be done right here at Bethel Dental.
Also like to make sure patients realize you need to get your whitening done by a licensed dentist or dental hygienist. So that way you can make sure you're getting the correct product, it's safe, you don't get any burning on your gums, you don't get any sensitivity with your teeth. So those things are super important when you're looking for a place to whiten.
Yes, so why wait? Schedule your appointment today.
Healthy smile.
Welcome back. So tonight we break down Ghana's controversial anti-LGBTQ law, yet to be assented to by the president. We'll start off with one of the key proponents of the bill, Samuel Nate George. You recall this bill in the previous administration had about 8 promoters, 7 from the then NDC, 1 from the MPP. We'll hear from 2 key figures. Samuel Nate George, who is the Minister for Communications and Digital Innovation, but a key champion of the bill, has been speaking to Channel 1 News about this. Indeed, he was called into the big issue on Saturday by Umaru Sanda Amadu to react to concerns raised by the MPP side of the House that the NDC team had passed a diluted version of the law. All right. But before I hear some of George's response, I think it's important to hear what the MPP has been saying. So, of course, Reverend John Ntimfo is a member of Parliament for Asin South, and he held a press conference earlier today, a few hours ago, chastising the NDC for being hypocritical and also not being trustworthy. He highlighted what he calls key components of the law that he believed had been watered down or diluted. So let me show you quickly what Ntimfo has been saying, Reverend John Ntimfo has been saying about this law.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen of the press. Thank you for responding to our invitation. On behalf of the Minority Caucus, we have called this press conference to ask a simple question, but very simple, but very serious questions, very, very serious questions, on behalf of the Ghanaian people. And the question is, what changed? What has changed in our values from 2024? And what has changed now in 2026? Have Ghanaians changed their values on LGBT since 2024? If that has not changed, if nothing has changed in our value system, then the bill which Ghana passed, Ghanaians wanted, 93% of the population deemed as very important, should be the same bill that is important to the Ghanaian people today. What has changed? In 2024, Ghanaians were told that the Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Bill required only presidential assent. That was all that Ghanaians said they needed. Indeed, NDC were very forceful in joining those calls, but all that was needed was presidential assent. The country was urged to pressure President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo to sign the bill immediately. In 2026, however, the same bill, when we place it before them, in the expectation that the same President Mahama who promised to sign the same bill that they wanted President Akufo-Addo, and we all wanted President Akufo-Addo to sign. However, when that bill was placed, the bill in that form was not presented to President Mahama, but had to be mutilated, had to go through major surgeries, had to be amended, had to be deleted. Original provisions from the bill, 22, had to be deleted, redrafted, and 31 insertions made before President Mahama would have it and desire it to sign it. Was that a promise? Was the promise to come and amend, review, mutilate, alterate, dilute the bill before he signs? You all remember. The promise was clear. Vote for me. I will come and sign the bill. On all their platforms, they said, vote MPP out because they won't sign the bill. Vote NDC. NDC will come and sign that bill. They did not say NDC will come and amend that bill. NDC will come and review that bill. NDC will come and delete provisions from that bill and redraft it before we sign. That is a scam, and that is breach of trust. That is deception, and that is hypocrisy. So today, instead of President Mahama to assent to the same bill we passed in 2024, they have changed it extensively, and what they have today is materially different from what was passed in 2024.
So that was Reverend John Ntimfo addressing the press earlier today on this law. Of course, some of the arguments he made today were made in Parliament. So on Saturday, when we called Samuel Nate George into the big issue, Umaru Sanda asked him to clarify some of the points made or the accusations from the MPP side about this. So let's hear Samuel Nate George's own interpretation and response to some of these concerns raised by the MPP side.
If the bill that you sent to Akufo-Addo was fit and proper and you just wanted him to pick a pen from his pocket and sign, but that did not happen, why didn't you send the same thing to President Mahama to sign? Why did you have to make the alterations and amendments that were made by the House of Parliament before the passage yesterday?
Thank you, Umaru. And the point must be made clear that I had always maintained that I thought that the bill could have just been transmitted straight to President Mahama as soon as this ninth Parliament came in, because I believe that once the eighth Parliament had passed the bill and done the third reading, Parliament was functus officio. However, my my reading of the law appeared not to be the popular sentiment, and the popular sentiment was that we needed to relay it again and go through the processes, which is what we did. Now, do not forget that one of the key things that the then majority leader, now minority leader, Afenyo Markin, had raised in opposition to the passage of the bill was a suggestion that the bill criminalized certain professionals in the exercise of their professional capabilities. And I said, look, that is neither here nor there. In fact, that formed the basis of the suits by Richard Sky and Amanda Odoy to the Supreme Court. The issue of who exactly does the bill reflect on and what are the exemptions in there. And so what we did within Team Fojo, when we decided to relay this bill, was to make that clarification that said subject to the Constitution. So if you look at what we submitted as sponsors in March, April, thereabout, and was subsequently sent to the committee in September of last year, we introduced a phrase in clause 9 and clause 10. We said subject to the Constitution to ensure that everybody is clear in their mind that whatever this law is seeking to criminalize is subject to constitutional privileges that exist. Now, when we went to the committee, the chairman of the committee then said, look, to avoid the confusion, because today we are having this back and forth, and because it's in Parliament, we can call on Sam George. Sam George, what is exactly is the intent of this bill? And then we come and explain. But after the bill is passed and accented to by the president, interpretation no longer rests with the lawmaker. It rests with the judge. And so if you do not clarify and codify what the boundaries you are setting are clearly, and even someone as experienced as Afenyo Markin could have confusion in his mind, you may then begin to have interpretative issues that will arise. So then we said, okay, let us be clear what 8 exemptions we are creating. 1, and I'll run through them quickly, and all of this as you then see why it was originally covered by the omnibus phrase subject to the Constitution. A, the provision of legal advice or legal representation. Umaru, the highest offense in Ghana today is maybe high treason, an offense against the Constitution and the state. But every person accused of high treason or murder is entitled to a lawyer and legal representation, to get legal advice and get legal representation. We had memos coming from lawyers saying that, so if someone was charged with an act prohibited by this law,
My line of work, a confident smile is everything. Kale Charcoal Toothpaste keeps me on top of my game and ensures my smile is always radiant and bright.
With the tiring nature of my job, we spend several hours under the scorching sun. To keep our teeth white and our breath fresh all the time, we use none other than Kale Charcoal Toothpaste. Kale Charcoal Toothpaste. You're on a kessie and in a kit one.
Samayo kendi ni. Ehubenya. Semecha sapapadia to ama me manfo. Kale Charcoal's natural ingredients. Eno bomb se ho ban. E mane swen ne sanso mama hotoso e wo bedwam.
Kale Charcoal Toothpaste. Choose Kale Charcoal Toothpaste for anti-cavity, whiter teeth, and fresher breath all day. Available in 80 gram and 150 gram. Grab yours today.
Kale, happy smile. This advert is FDA approved.
Is the money too small? A bad stomach ruins your day. Don't let it. Treatment has been approved by the FDA.
Every dream starts with a prayer. And every prayer ends with a promise. At Blue Financial Services, it is our passion to make you smile, to show you that your smallest deposits can lead to major financial wealth. from the early days, taking that first big step to the days of joyous maturity, we will be with you. Visit our branch today for a better future tomorrow and trust in Blue Financial Services.
Welcome back. So we've heard from the politicians as usual, but what we want to do is our production and research desk has put some very important slides and timelines together. Fred Tetejabano is head of production. He's joining us to walk us through how we got here. Okay. So what is this law? What does it say? Who are the promoters? How did we get here? And what does it mean for you and I? Fred, thank you for joining us. Good evening.
Good evening, Bernard.
Wonderful. So we've heard from Samuel George. We've heard from what's his name? Reverend Tim Fojo. So, what are the main components of this law? Maybe I think that's where we should start. What does this law say?
There are five components.
Okay.
So when you look at the law, it's been broken into 5 different parts. The first one is what it criminalizes. It criminalizes same-sex and sexual activity, LGBTQ+, anything identifying such things. So there's a criminalization of it.
And then also what they call the identity-related conduct.
The identity-related conduct. Then it comes to what it restricts.
Okay.
So it restricts LGBTQ+ advocacy, promotion, media publication, and online promotion. So it's restricting this one. Then what does it prohibit? It prohibits the formation, funding, and operation of LGBTQ+ organizations.
Okay.
Then it restricts adoption and fostering under specified LGBTQ+ categories. So if you are a man and you claim to be married, you cannot, you'll not be allowed to adopt a child. If you're a woman and you get married, you cannot be allowed to adopt a child. So it prohibits adoption when it comes to such things. Then it mandates institutions to promote what the law describes as Ghanaian family values. Don't forget that the name of the law is Human Rights
and Family Value Bill. So let's go through this. Criminalizes same-sex activity and what it calls LGBTQ identity-related conduct.
Yes.
Then it deals with the advocacy and promotion. There was a concern about journalists. We'll come to that later.
Yes.
So this is that.
That's
and then these are groups that promote or fund operations of
the LGBTQ+ activities.
And this is what? Restriction the
adoption. So when you are engaged or you are seen or you are believed to be an LGBTQ person, you are not allowed to adopt.
Serious. And then this one mandates institutions to do what?
To then promote what we describe as Ghanaian family values.
Wow.
Because we are protecting Ghanaian family values according to the law.
How did we get here? How did we, give me some timelines.
So let's start from 2024.
All right.
So this particular discussion is looking at 2 bills.
Okay.
The bill presented and passed under the President Akufo-Addo. Then the bill which was just passed last week Friday.
Which is what the 2 men were arguing about. So Tim Fojo is talking about the 2024 version and Samuel George is talking about 2025 version. Beautiful.
So these are the 2 bills. So we are just giving you how it got from 2024. It started from 2024 and ended up here in 2026. In the first bill was sent into Parliament somewhere in 2023.
Okay.
Through a private member's bill. So members of Parliament came together and introduced that bill to the House.
Okay.
It went through the different motions, the different people coming, different groupings coming before the House and the committee to defend it and to also go against it. They finished all that and it was finally brought to the House for debate.
Okay.
After the debate, in February 2024, Parliament passed that law.
Okay.
In February 2024, Parliament passed the law.
Awaiting presidential assent.
Whilst the thing was passed in March, there was a legal challenge. So 2 people challenged this particular law. We would get to these 2 people.
Actually, let's see that
what they have to say.
So that was...
So the 2 people who challenged the law were Richard Sky and Dr. Amanda Odwe.
Okay.
They were raising some constitutional issues. Somebody like Richard Sky believed that when you look at the law, there were certain aspects of the law which he believed that were against the Constitution, against human rights. So the Supreme Court should look at it and declare that law null and void.
Okay.
Dr. Amanda Odwe also had a similar thing. But before we go to the dismissal, we still have to go back to the timeline.
Wonderful.
And see.
So we'll come back to the dismissal.
Exactly.
So here you are with 2024 legal challenge in March to
the
May.
case was sent to court. In May 2024, as soon as the case was sent to court, Parliament had to then transmit the bill to the president for it to be signed as a law or an act. But what did the president do? Because the case was in court, the president said, no way. That's where he wrote the cease and desist letter through the secretary
to the speaker,
to the speaker, saying that don't send this bill to me for me to sign until
this matter is determined.
Of
course, there was a few months to elections as well.
There are a few months to elections. So between February and November or December, it was a back and forth as to
between Parliament, executive Supreme
and the
Court.
judiciary.
So Parliament expired before the bill could get to the president.
Exactly. So by the end of 2024, the bill was Supreme Court determined the suit brought before it. We will tell you what the Supreme Court said, but it determined it, which paved way for it to be transmitted to the president.
By which time?
By which time the president's tenure of office was also coming to an end.
Wow.
Which is President Akufo-Addo. So that bill was never signed into law. So it expired with the last parliament.
Because bills started in a particular parliament cannot be transferred to another parliament.
Exactly.
Okay.
Then we come to March. So we move from January, February,
So now
March.
Mahama is president.
Mahama is president.
3 months into his administration.
3 months into, the bill is reintroduced into parliament. Before this bill was reintroduced into parliament, you had people like the Catholic bishops coming out that, when are you going to do this?
Because of course, it was a political issue in the election
Exactly.
time. And Mahama had said he would sign the law when he was in opposition.
Yes.
He said he would pass the bill.
There was a comment President Mahama made somewhere in February when he met some group of people and said that he believed that the law had to be relooked at and the people had to bring
this
it
was
back.
what caused
This what caused people like Reverend Intim Fodro to say, no, you promised that you're going to sign it. You promised that you're going to bring this law back or this bill back to be signed. There was an issue of whether the bill which had expired with the old parliament could still be brought back. Eventually, they decided that they were going to bring in a new bill. Who was going to bring this bill? Was it going to be the AG or was it going to be a private member? Initially, there were talks for the AG to introduce the bill. But the proponents, which had Sam George, Reverend Intim Fadro, and others,
few other MPs,
decided that no, we are going to reintroduce it ourselves again. And they reintroduced it in March.
I see. Which is where this is.
And
in 2 months.
And in 2 months, in May, it was passed.
Wonderful.
So this is the timeline for where it started with the first bill and where it's ended. Now,
so this is the summary of what you said.
The summary of what Supreme Court
tried to. There was an interpretation case.
Yes.
It didn't finish. President says, I'm not going to get it, take it. So this was when presidency and parliament were having this back and forth. I
where
see.
even the speaker was actually dragged to court himself.
Yes.
Then the clock ran out and President Akufo-Addo's tenure ended.
So that's how come the 2024 version did not become...
Did not become law, even though it was passed by parliament.
So in your view, these are the lead figures?
These are the lead figures. You have Sam George. From 2023 to 2024, Sam George was the face
of the advocacy
for this bill. Even though we had people like Reverend Intim Fodro being part of it, he was the main face of it. The then deputy majority leader, who became majority leader, then minority leader, was also very instrumental because at the time when the law was being passed, or before it was passed, he raised certain issues and brought amendments, a proposal to amend parts of the bill before the parliament in 2024, where he raised issues of not sentencing the people into prison, giving custodial sentences.
So I remember interviewing him where he said he didn't think that we should apply custodial sentences to people accused of being LGBTQ.
Exactly.
So were those amendments upheld?
No,
they were
he
not.
withdrew it because there was so much pressure from the minority at the time. We said, look, you can't come here and draw us back.
And because that parliament was very close.
That parliament was very close.
Yeah.
He had to withdraw this particular thing. The next person is Nana Akufo-Addo, the former president, who had to sign but did not sign because he believed that cease and desist, that there was a case before the Supreme Court, and he did not want to disrespect the Supreme Court. He wanted the case to be dealt with and then sign.
I see.
Then the Speaker Babin, who, even though was not a member of parliament, was one of the proponents of the bill without signing. He was
actively
the one pushing it.
Because he believed the bill was
the bill was proper and needed to be passed.
So he was for the bill. He was for the bill,
but I wanted amendments.
Some changes.
President Akufo-Addo was waiting for the bill to be dealt with by the court and would sign. So this is what it is.
Of course, now we can say the lead actors are Sam George, Apenyo in team for Joe, President Mahama, and Alban Bagbin.
Exactly.
Interesting. All right, so where do we go next? You want to explain the legal issues?
The legal issues.
All right.
So there are constitutional suits, as I said, challenging the legality and the constitutionality of the case. That particular decision case was dealt with on the 18th of December, where the Supreme Court unanimously dismissed.
So this was actually after the election?
This was after the elections.
But that's interesting. So there's a view that this law was very political.
Exactly.
And that the NDC used it in opposition to put pressure on the government, for the government to be seen, MPP to be seen as
not wanting to support such
So it's almost like the Supreme Court also decided to choose the least line of resistance. Let's wait till after the election.
After the election, whatever happens, we'll make a decision.
So what did the Supreme Court say?
The Supreme Court said at the time that the bill had not been signed into law. So it wasn't law, so you cannot bring it and come and dismiss it.
So that's interesting. So the Supreme Court did not actually look into the substance?
No, it did not. It did not look into the substance of the case at all. So it says, this case you have brought before me, this particular bill is not yet law. So you cannot in any way come before me and say, this is what you want to do. So that's what exactly happened when this thing. So the president, that's the decision of the Supreme Court, and it ended there.
Wow. So the constitutional suit filed by Richard Sky and Amanda Odwe, they was joined together. Supreme Court decides that they would not adjudicate on the substance of the matter. And therefore, it sort of paved the way for the law to be passed, without the Supreme Court actually saying it is constitutional or not.
Yes, so it was
So
passed.
it's possible that as we sit here, somebody could still challenge.
Yes, there are various people who are considering going to court. One of the issues they raise is quorum. According to them, when this new law was passed, the parliament at the time did not have quorum to make the decision. So those are one of the concerns people are actually considering to go to the Supreme Court with, to declare the law null and void. As to whether they'll really go, we are not too sure of whether that will take place.
So this is a summary of where we are. Where
exactly.
After the Supreme Court makes that determination, NDC comes to power, issue gets into Parliament. By March, it starts, and May 29, which is just a couple of days ago.
Yes, there was a final passage.
All right. So this is still the point of view. Tonight, we started off by walking you through some of the key disagreements between the two leading political parties on the bill. This is important because, as Fred has explained, 2024 law is slightly different from 2025 law, right? President is yet to sign. So we're going to go into what are the key differences. Exactly. All right, so let's go into that and show what we have. So as you reiterated, there are 5 key issues.
Exactly. Criminalization remains. So these are the things which are unchanged in the new law. So the 2024, 2025, these are the key things which remain unchanged.
So it criminalizes same-sex relations.
Exactly.
But this has been criminalized from 1960, our criminal code. So it's basically putting a specific law around same-sex.
Same-sex.
But it's been in our criminal code for a long time.
For a very long time.
And the 25 version has the same thing as the 24 version.
It
hasn't changed.
Then promotion and funding of it, the ban of it.
That also hasn't changed.
That hasn't changed. So you still cannot promote, you still cannot fund it.
Interesting. And then also
organization ban. So people who would set up groups and institutions to promote same-sex conversations.
So even though there's freedom of association, you cannot form a group that promotes queer relations.
Exactly.
According to this law.
According to this law.
If it becomes, wow. So it prohibits the formation of an operation of any LGBTQ plus organization.
Organizations.
Does it define what LGBTQ plus is?
So in the law, it gives you, it defines the LGBTQ and which people form part of the LGBTQ plus.
Okay.
So that hasn't changed. Then the adoption restrictions also remain.
Mhm.
So I explained earlier that when you are believed to be a same-sex person or you are married within the same-sex consensual union, you cannot adopt.
But does it say you can't? This may sound redundant, right? If you're saying same-sex is a crime,
you know there are people who come from outside to come and adopt.
So then, okay. So you are saying you can't, if you are a potential adopter,
yes,
you cannot adopt a Ghanaian citizen if you are okay.
Seen to be
Wow.
a same-sex person.
This is serious. And then the last one is
the
what?
last one is reporting requirement.
Serious.
It retains. So where you know someone who is involved in the act, or you know someone who is part of the LGBTQ plus organization, or it's in a relationship of a sort, you need to report. If you don't, you are held responsible.
But how do you know that I know?
The makers and framers of the law will need to explain to us
What does that mean?
what
So,
that
like-
means. So, in fact, there was a conversation where it says that you have a son. Your son is a gay person, and they expect you to come and report your son for involving himself in LGBTQ plus activities.
Wow.
That's some of the things people say. Or you have a friend, and you know this your friend is involved in this. You owe it a duty to yourself and the law to come and report that.
All right.
So
this is serious. So the 5 unchanged, the thing you said in the beginning are still there.
Yes.
So what are the key changes? This seems to be the fight between
the minority.
And so what are the key things that have changed?
So the first thing is the professional exemptions.
Mm-hmm.
So in the first law, there were no exemptions for professionals. So if you're a lawyer and you are representing somebody who has been accused of being involved in LGBTQ plus activities, you'll be held liable.
Are you crazy? Like how?
So if you're a journalist and you report and speak about it, you are held liable.
That doesn't make sense, right? So which is why they took that out.
A health professional. So these people, journalists, lawyers, health care workers, are now exempted from it.
So if you are performing your job, which requires you to either report on a matter or to provide medical assistance or to provide legal assistance,
Yes.
you are exempt from some of those things you read in the first
Yes.
part. Interesting.
Yes.
What
Then
else is changing?
Advocacy and propaganda. Now, for advocacy and propaganda, what is mean? They've made it more prominent that you cannot at all, in any way, in any form. So there's a heavier targeting of indirect promotion and sponsorship of Clause 9. Then you come to managed recognition change. The wording shifts from enforceable to legally not recognized.
Wow. Hey, this is
So marriage, initially it says you cannot, it was not enforceable. Now it says it's legally not recognized.
Interesting.
Then expanded definitions, detailed legal definitions for terms like non-binary, queer, and all the others. So that is when it comes to the issue of expanded definitions. Then institutional duties, places formalized responsibilities on civic and state institutions. So that's where it talks about promoting the Ghanaian value.
Wow. So that's... so which institutions are we talking about? State institutions?
State institutions.
So like which? NCC? Or
NCC, SHRAJ, all those state institutions which will need to deal with this. And I think the AIDS Commission is even a part of this particular issue.
So let's go through this again. So professional exemptions. So you're saying that the 5 key differences,
yes,
professional exemptions, advocacy and propaganda is heavier.
Yes.
This is Clause 9.
Clause 9. Then the married recognition change, where there's a change in the wording, which says it's not unenforceable, but now they're saying that it's legally not recognized.
Interesting. What else is in this law that we need to pay attention to?
Let's look at the next thing. Now, let's take a look at the professional thing. Exemption properly. The biggest change, lawyers providing legal advice or representation. Now they are free to do that.
Okay.
Journalists and media houses reporting in the ordinary course of their work.
So let's assume a group is formed which is promoting LGBTQ. Even though they are prohibited, we can still report that this is what they are doing.
This group is doing that.
Because our job is to report.
Exactly. Or this group has issued this statement.
Okay.
So we can report. Then healthcare providers, workers providing professional services. So somebody comes and identifies himself as a gay person, a queer, a lesbian. You need to provide healthcare services to the person. You cannot say you wouldn't provide that healthcare professional services to the person. So you would need to, which was not part of the first one. Then researchers and academics expressing professional scientific opinions.
Okay.
The old law did not allow that, which was a very big concern for researchers and people within the academia. Now the law exempts them.
Okay.
Public health programs, including HIV/AIDS prevention.
Okay.
That is also allowed.
Okay.
Official proceedings in court, parliament, and commissions of
So
inquiry.
even if the president signs the bill and somebody goes to challenge it in court, reporting on the challenge and providing background and details is not criminal.
the person even challenging it cannot be held
Of course not.
liable.
Yeah.
So that's it.
Very, very interesting. So these are the professional exemptions. Now, you also said that the second main change was the strong advocacy provision clause.
Exactly.
And what does this mean?
So it says that supporters say this expansion effectively closes legal loopholes that could allow indirect promotion of prohibited activities.
Okay.
So they are not dealing with now direct promotions. So any form of indirect promotion is also illegal.
Oh, so this version is actually more draconian.
Exactly.
On the promotion.
On the
So
promotion.
whilst the issue of exemption, professional exemption, softens the bill, the promotional side is more serious in
It's more
2025
serious
than
in this
2024.
one.
Wow.
So whether direct or indirect, you would be held liable for it.
And they talk about propaganda, sponsorship,
Exactly.
promotion,
Sponsorship,
funding.
Anything which helps, which is defined as promotion, you cannot do
This
it.
seems very interesting. And then what else is there?
Then
The third difference
we
was...
go to who now has the duties under this bill. Expanded institutional responsibilities. So you have the Media and Creative Arts. You have state institutions. You have parents. You have traditional authorities.
Wow.
You have religious bodies. You have schools and teachers.
What are they supposed to do?
So, for example, when you go to school, your teacher is expected to let you know and understand the Ghanaian value.
Is it in our textbooks?
It should be in the textbooks.
So why
Per
isn't
this
the
law, it
Minister
should
of
be-
Education, isn't the Minister of Education the one who, or GS, the people who provide the content for the schools?
Yes,
So
so
why is it the schools and teachers who are supposed to teach it? Is there a curriculum on it?
I am sure that with this law, they may or they would have to provide a curriculum for it.
Interesting.
When you're a parent, the law expects that you also take your children through what they describe as the Ghanaian values.
But I find some of this interesting. So can you tell a religious body what to teach? I mean, look, how does the law tell you? And I'm not saying I promote LGBTQ or something, but my point is that if you say religious bodies have a responsibility to teach family values, okay, that's interesting. So are you going then saying that you're going to determine what the doctrine of the religion is?
Bernard, it's easy for us because when you look at the proponents and promoters of this particular bill, most of them were traditional people and people who are within the religious circles. So you have Christians, pastors, bishops, you have imams, and all those people.
So like the key religious groups are all for the bill?
Are all for the bill. The traditional setting, the National House of Chiefs, and all those
which is why
people,
they've all been put here.
Which is why they've all been put there. So they owe themselves a responsibility to ensure that people who they lead, people who they guide, know what is proper Ghanaian values.
Interesting. So those are the expanded institutional responsibilities within the 2025 version.
Exactly.
And by the way, Bishop, you need to make this point that even though we are in 2026, a law is dated based on the year it was initiated, correct?
Yes.
So it's a 2025 law.
It's a 2025
not 2026.
law. Yes.
All right. So summarize for me what the key issues are in terms of what the supporters are saying, what the critics are saying.
So what are the supporters saying? The supporters are saying that it protects family values, preserves Ghanaian cultural norms against external influence. They say it closes the loopholes, restricts advocacy, bans, prevents indirect promotions, safeguards professions, exempts people who are engaged in professional services in this thing. Then what do the critics say? The critic says this particular law, the 2025 one, weakens the legislation. The lead sponsor, Reverend Tim Fodor, argues that exemptions remove the bite from the law.
I see.
And we heard him say that. Then affects rights and freedoms. Broader critics argue that the bill still raises severe expression and constitutional concerns.
Of course.
So human rights issues and the rest. Then legal implications, denying recognition of certain marriages creates complex legal voids.
Yeah.
These are people who, the critics, these are some of the things the critics says. So that people, they believe that people should be able to identify what they want to identify, do what they want to do as in marriage.
Wow.
So you can't come and legislate and stop someone from engaging in a marriage they believe they want to engage in. These are what the critics say.
This is interesting. We haven't walked you through the law itself. What we've done is summarized for you the key differences between the two laws and what the key issues are. There will be a separate conversation I'll be having with people from Parliament to get into the clause-by-clause analysis. But this is more an overview of the law with our head of production, who's part of our legal team, Fred Tesijabano. What I want Fred to do before he goes is to tell us what next. All right? So
what's next?
What's next?
The biggest thing is the assent to this law. In 2024, President Nana Akufo-Addo did not sign this law because of some of the concerns he raised and because of the constitutional issues which were raised and sent to court. Now, everybody is looking at President John Mahama, who promised during the campaign, saying that he was going to sign this thing into law if it was brought before him. About a week or two ago, President Mahama was heard saying again that the thing is in the hands of the legislature. Once the legislature does their work and it comes to his desk, he was going to sign it. The question is, would he sign it?
That's the question. Of course, Akufo-Addo didn't have a lot of time because it was about 6 months to an election.
Exactly.
And the court cases sort of gave him some sort of cop-out.
Yes.
And by the time the court decided that they were not even going to look into it, election was over. But Mr. Mahama has like 2.5 more years to go.
Yes.
So there's nowhere to hide.
Yes. So we are waiting for a presidential assent. Whether he will do it or he will not do it, we are watching to see. There's the next thing. Even if he does it, will anybody go and challenge this law before the court?
Because now the court cannot say, we will not look into it. So the court has conveniently not adjudicated or given its reasons behind the content of the law.
Yes. Once the president signs it,
now they can do that.
Someone can go and challenge it. Because the court's first decision was that it wasn't law. So I cannot make any determination on it. So now that if the president signs it, it becomes law. Anybody can go and challenge it in court.
Okay.
So that is likely to go. And even before it gets to the president, now the issue of quorum can come in and say, we are going to court to challenge the constitutionality of the bill which was passed based on quorum. So that could also stop the bill from becoming law.
Interesting.
Then there's the national debate. It's already started. What are people saying about it? Do people agree with the new law? Do people agree with the new aspects of it?
Yeah.
Already the minority has raised concerns that it doesn't bite enough.
So they want it to be more strict.
They want it to be more strict.
But you know, it's funny, politicians are interesting. In MPP time, they were quite cool about it, and NDC was pushing.
Yes.
Now NDC is in office. NDC is a bit cool. MPP is pushing.
Pushing for it. So
I think Ghanaians can also read through the lines. It seems very political, right? It's almost like they know the law has international implications. So when you're in a position, it's easier to push it. When you're in government, it's a bit difficult. Which is why Samuel George standing up for the bill seems to vindicate the NDC a bit, because he's a minister of state and he says, look, this bill must be passed.
And also, it plays into the larger conversation of 2028.
How?
In the sense that one of the campaign promises of the NDC was to pass the law.
So they don't pass it.
So if they don't pass it,
MPP
say they lied to you. If they pass it, they go out to tell the people of Ghana that we told you we were going to pass this law, and we have passed it. Now, what the MPP is doing is that, yes, now we've seen what you want to do. Now we are telling Ghanaians that Yes, you are passing the law, but this is not the kind of law you wanted to pass.
So it's more like people are using the sentiments of the Ghanaian populace about the inroad of LGBTQ plus, and they are weaponizing it politically.
Yes.
This is what the two parties are doing.
That's what they are doing.
So the religious bodies are obviously concerned about these activities.
Exactly.
And therefore, this law becomes the way to appease them.
Yes.
Whether the law does not do an overkill is something we have to subject our discussions to, because it's our responsibility as journalists to get into the law and go through clause by clause. What we've done today is an overview, and what Fred is telling us now is that there's a timetable. It's quite likely the president will sign the law, but it's also quite possible that somebody's going to challenge this in court. All right. So the president is in the UK now.
Yes.
Is there a timeline between when the law is passed by Parliament and when he has to sign?
As we speak now, there's no timeline.
Okay.
The president is expected in the country by the close of the week.
Okay.
Like we've always seen him do. Anytime he's going to sign a law, he brings cameras and he signs
So he's
it.
probably going to bring the AG, bring some MPs.
Exactly. Get the clerk of parliament to bring the bill and he'll sign it.
Interesting. So you don't expect him not to sign, you expect him to sign?
As it stands now, I don't think that there's anything stopping the president from signing, especially when his side of the house are all for it.
Okay. And do you expect a challenge in court?
I expect a challenge in court, basically on the issue of quorum.
Oh, even the quorum in terms of whether they were constituted properly
to pass that law.
Not even the substance of the law.
Not even the substance of the law. The substance of the law would be dealt with once the president signs it. But whether the president can sign it before that is challenged.
Because MPP is saying that they didn't have quorum.
Yes, according to them, there were less than 40 people in the House when the law was passed.
So there will be a procedural challenge and also a substantive
challenge. Exactly.
Wow, interesting times. Well, our job is to show you what's happening, and then you decide what it means. So, Fred, thank you. Fred Jabano, amazing. This thing was done on Friday, and he managed to put this together with his team. Thank you, great job. Earlier on, you heard from John Intim Fojo, who's the MP for Asin South, and then you also heard from Simon Nate George, who's the MP for, what's his constituency?
Ningo Proud.
Ningo Proud. And he's a minister now, so we forget his constituency. There's more on this. This is not the only show we'll do on this. So this is just a preliminary show to give you an overview of, I think it's fair to say, Ghana's controversial LGBTQ plus law. Stay with us on Channel 1. We'll see you next time. My name is Ben Abele. Bye-bye.